What would happen if I told you that inside you there's a power so great that, once you discover it, you could make any person or situation that hurts you surrender to you? I'm not talking about manipulation or cheap tricks. I'm talking about something much deeper, something that Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human soul, discovered decades ago: the secret of your inner world. A secret that not only transforms how you see yourself, but also how you face relationships, fears, and even those moments when you feel like life is winning the game against you. Stay with me, because today we're going to unravel that weak spot, not in others, but in you. And when you find it, everything will change. Carl Jung, a Swiss psychologist who revolutionized how we understand the mind, said that life isn't what happens outside, but what happens inside us. He believed we all carry a hidden universe, a place full of symbols, intuitions, and shadows that guide us, even if we don't always listen. And here's the first blow: that weak spot you look for in someone else, in your partner, your boss, that friend who always criticizes you, isn't external. It's a reflection of something you haven't faced in yourself. Jung called it the shadow, that part of us we hide because we don't like it, because it embarrasses us, or because we think it doesn't fit what the world expects. Imagine this. You're in a relationship where everything seems perfect. He says the right words, brings you flowers, or she supports you on your worst days with a smile. But something feels off. There's a little voice inside you whispering, "This isn't right." Maybe he avoids talking about his feelings, and you stay quiet to not bother him. Or maybe she asks you to change, be more outgoing, more patient, more whatever, and you do it, even though you feel like you're losing yourself. That discomfort isn't random. According to Jung, it's your unconscious speaking, sending you signals through emotions you can't ignore. The unconscious, by the way, is like a deep ocean inside you. It doesn't use direct words like, "get away from this person," or "this isn't for you." Instead, it sends symbols: a weird dream where you're being chased, a feeling of emptiness after a conversation, or even a knot in your stomach you can't explain. Has that happened to you? It has to me. I remember dating someone who seemed like the perfect guy: hardworking, funny, attentive. But every time I was with him, I felt a weight in my chest, like something was saying, "Run." I ignored it for months until one day I realized it wasn't him. It was me, suppressing my need to be heard, to be valued for who I am, not who he wanted me to be. Here's an example for men. Think of Juan, a 35-year-old guy in Guadalajara. He has a girlfriend who adores him, but every time she asks for more time or commitment, he feels trapped. He doesn't admit it, but deep down, he knows he's not ready for that step. His unconscious screams at him through his bad moods. Those nights he can't sleep. Jung would say Juan is facing his shadow, the fear of commitment he doesn't want to see. And as long as he ignores it, it'll keep being a struggle. So what's the weak spot here? It's not the other person. It's what you don't dare to look at inside yourself. Jung taught that the shadow isn't your enemy. It's a teacher. Those things that bother you about others, your partner's impatience, your friend's indifference, are mirrors of what you've buried in yourself. If it angers you that he never listens, ask yourself, are you listening to yourself? If she drains you with her complaints, are you protecting your energy or letting it slip away without noticing? Pause with me for a moment. Breathe. Think of someone who drives you crazy. What do they do that bothers you so much? Now ask yourself, is there something in that I do too but don't want to admit? This isn't to judge you, it's to free you. Jung said that when you integrate your shadow, when you accept those dark parts of yourself, you stop fighting the outside world and start healing the inside. Now let's talk about relationships, because this is where it gets interesting. Have you ever been with someone who seems perfect at first, but over time you realize they're dimming your light? Maybe you're like Maria, a 28-year-old woman in Bogota. She met a guy at a party. Everything flowed. Daily texts, romantic dates, promises of a future together. But little by little, he started criticizing her. "You should dress more elegantly. Don't be so sensitive," he'd say. Maria tried to please him, but she felt smaller each time. Until one day, looking in the mirror, she asked, "Where am I in all this? Jung would say Maria was projecting her shadow onto that relationship. Projection, another key term of his, is when you see in others what you don't recognize in yourself. Maria didn't realize it, but her insecurity, that part of her shadow that doubted her worth, made her seek approval from him. And the more she tried, the more power she gave him to drain her. The weak spot wasn't in him, it was in her fear of not being enough. For men, think of Luis, a 40-year-old father in Los Angeles. Luis has a wife who loves him, but they're always arguing about money. She wants to save, he wants to spend. Every fight leaves him exhausted, like something's been stolen from him. Jung would say Luis is projecting his own anxiety about control, his shadow in those arguments. Before moving on, I'll mention that my book is now available. It's full of tips and techniques to help you overcome emotional blocks and love yourself more. Find the link in the description in the pinned comment. Let's continue. It's not just about money. Luis hasn't faced his fear of not being in control of his life. So how do you find that weak spot and make it surrender? It's not about beating anyone. It's about surrendering to your truth. When you stop ignoring your unconscious, when you listen to those signals, the knot in your stomach, the intuition saying, this isn't for me, you start reclaiming your power. Here's a practical action. The next time you feel someone draining you, stop. Ask yourself, what is this person showing me about myself? Write the answer in a notebook. It could be something simple like, it bothers me that he doesn't listen because I don't listen to myself either. That's the first step to integrating your shadow. Let's take a short break here. If this is resonating with you, leave a comment below saying shadow or projection. I'd love to know what you think so far. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, a friend in a toxic relationship, a sibling unsure why they're so lost, share this video. Together, we can help more people discover their inner power. We're still on this, right? Imagine you're walking through a forest. There are two paths, one clear, full of people, safe, the other dark, lonely, a bit scary. Which do you choose? Most go for the easy one, the one that doesn't demand facing anything. But Jung would say the dark path, the one that challenges you, is where your growth lies. That's where you meet your shadow, those parts of you you've avoided. And when you face them, something magical happens. The relationships that don't serve you start crumbling on their own. Not because you destroy them, but because you stop needing them. A friendship, or even a job, you're telling your unconscious, I don't deserve better. But when you dare to let go, when you say, my peace matters, the universe responds. The right people show up, opportunities come, and that weak spot you thought was in others becomes your greatest strength. This isn't theory, it's something you can live. I'll show you more examples in a moment. But first, another practical action. Today, identify a relationship that weighs you down. Maybe it's that friend who always asks for favors, but is never there when you need them, or that partner who makes you doubt yourself. Write one line, this no longer serves me because, and finish the sentence. You don't have to act yet, just recognize it. That small step tells your unconscious you're ready for something new. We're still connected on this, right? So don't go anywhere. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how those tough relationships are actually mirrors of your soul, and how understanding them can transform not just your love life, but everything around you. Stay with me, because this is just the beginning. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you is resonating with what Carl Jung discovered. That difficult relationships, the ones that drain or confuse you, aren't random. They're mirrors, mirrors of your soul, your unconscious, showing you what you haven't wanted to see. In the last part, we talked about the shadow and projection, those powerful ideas from Jung that tell us the weak spot isn't in others, it's in what we hide from ourselves. Now let's take it a step further. What happens when you start looking at those mirrors? What happens when you stop blaming the world and dare to change what's inside you? Jung said everything we experience outside is a reflection of our inner world. If your relationships are full of chaos, frustration, or even painful silences, it's not because the universe hates you. It's your unconscious asking you to pay attention. Think of Ana, a 32-year-old woman in Mexico City. Ana's been with her boyfriend for 3 years, but every time she asks for more commitment, he pulls away. He's just not ready, she tells herself. But deep down, Anna feels an emptiness. It's not just him. It's that Anna hasn't asked herself what she really wants. Her shadow, the fear of being alone, keeps her clinging to that relationship even though it no longer fills her. For men, there's Pedro, 29, in Medellin. Pedro has a friend who always calls when she's down but never asks how he's doing. Every chat leaves him drained, like his energy's been sucked out. Jung would say Pedro is projecting his own need to be seen onto that friendship. His shadow is the fear of setting boundaries, of saying no because he thinks he'll be rejected if he does. Sound familiar? I bet it does. So how do you find that weak spot that makes him surrender? Here's the trick. It's not him surrendering. It's you stopping surrendering to what doesn't serve you. Jung taught that our relationships are like a theater where we play out our inner struggles. If someone keeps hurting you over and over, it's not just their fault. It's a sign there's something in you that needs healing. And when you heal it, that person loses power over you. They surrender because you stop playing their game. Let's pause to reflect. Think of a relationship weighing you down right now. Maybe your partner, a family member, a coworker. How do you feel when you're with them? Do they lift you up or dim your light? Now ask yourself, what is this showing me about myself? Don't look for complicated answers. It could be as simple as, I feel invisible because I don't value myself enough. If you want, write it in the comments with the word mirror. I'd love to read how you're connecting with this. Back to Jung. He said the unconscious doesn't just show you what's wrong, but also what could be right. Sometimes those signals come as a whisper, an idea you can't shake, a place that calls to you, a person who crosses your path and makes you feel alive again. That's what Jung called synchronicity, those coincidences that aren't coincidences. It's the universe aligning with you when you start listening to your truth. Think of Sophia, a 45-year-old teacher in Los Angeles. Sophia was stuck in a loveless marriage, just routine. But one day at a writing workshop, she met someone who made her laugh like she hadn't in years. It wasn't just that person, it was a spark reminding her who she was before she lost herself in that relationship. Jung would say that synchronicity wasn't chance. It was her unconscious guiding her toward authenticity. When Sophia let go of her marriage, she didn't just find peace. She started writing a book she'd always dreamed of. For men, there's Miguel, 38, in Cali. Miguel hated his office job, but one day walking in the park, he saw a sign for guitar lessons. Something inside said, do it. He started playing, and in those classes, he met people who inspired him to quit his job and start his own business. That guitar wasn't random. It was his unconscious saying, there's more for you. Have you felt those whispers lately? Here's a practical action. This week, pay attention to small signals. A book that catches your eye, a conversation that excites you. Write it down. Jung believed those clues are the map to your true self. And when you follow that map, the relationships that don't fit start falling away. Not because you reject them, but because you no longer need them to fill a void. Now let's talk about self-love, because this is where it all connects. Jung said you can't love anyone if you don't love yourself first. But I'm not talking about selfies or cute Instagram quotes. I'm talking about protecting your energy, saying no when something doesn't serve you, choosing yourself over others' expectations. If you let someone drain you constantly, that partner who criticizes you, that friend who only calls for their own benefit, you're telling your unconscious, I'm not worth enough. And that, according to Jung, is betraying your essence. Think of Carla, 27, in Monterey. Carla had a boyfriend who always showed up late, made promises he didn't keep. She'd stay thinking, well, at least I'm not alone. Until one day after another broken promise, she looked in the mirror and said, no more. She ended it. At first she felt scared, but soon she realized she was calmer. Her energy came back, and in time she met someone who truly valued her. Jung would say Carla integrated her shadow, the fear of loneliness, and that changed everything. For men, there's Daniel, 34, in Miami. Daniel had a boss who humiliated him in every meeting. He put up with it because he needed the job, but every day he came home feeling empty, until he decided to confront him, set boundaries, and eventually find another job. It wasn't easy, but by choosing his dignity, Daniel told his unconscious, I matter. And the universe responded with a better job. Pause again. Breathe with me. If there's someone draining you, ask yourself, what would happen if I chose myself this time? You don't have to act today, just imagine how it'd feel. And if this is stirring you, share this video with someone who needs a push to reclaim their power. Tell them, watch this, it'll change you. Every share helps more people wake up. Back to the weak spot. When you discover what's holding you back, that fear, that insecurity, that need for approval, and face it, the relationships that don't serve you surrender on their own. Not because you destroy them, but because you stop feeding them with your energy. Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming who you really are. And that process starts when you let go of what doesn't resonate with you. Here's another action. Tonight before bed, write 3 things weighing on your relationships. Maybe I feel judged by my sister, my partner doesn't respect me, or my friend uses me. Then write 1 sentence. I choose to let this go because I deserve peace. You don't have to break up with anyone yet. Just tell your unconscious you're ready for something better. We're in this together, right? In the next part, we'll see how this journey doesn't just transform your relationships, but your whole life. We'll talk about chaos, dreams, and how the universe rewards you when you dare to be authentic. Don't go anywhere, because what's coming is even more powerful. We've reached the heart of this journey, and if you're here with me, it's because you know transforming your relationships in your life isn't just a wish, it's a need. In the last part, we saw how letting go of what doesn't serve you tells your unconscious you're ready for something better. Now let's close this circle with Carl Jung, exploring how chaos, dreams, and your authenticity are the keys to a full life. Because when you discover that weak spot inside you and face it, not only does he surrender, the whole world starts aligning with you. Jung said chaos isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. Those moments when everything falls apart, a breakup, a fight, a day when you don't know who you are signs something needs to change. Think of Laura, 39, in Tijuana. Laura lost her job and her partner in the same month. She felt broken, like life had abandoned her. But one night, she had a strange dream. She was in a dark forest, and at the end of the path, she found a bright light. When she woke up, she felt different. She started painting, something she'd set aside for years, and little by little, her life filled with color again. Jung would say that dream was her unconscious showing her the way. For men, there's Jorge, 42, in Bogota. Jorge fought constantly with his wife until one day she left. The chaos hit him hard, but in that pain, he started reflecting. Why do I always end up here? He realized his shadow, the fear of not being enough, made him control everything. When he stopped blaming her and worked on himself, he not only found peace, she came back. And this time it was different. The chaos was the start, not the end. Let's pause. When was the last time you felt chaos in your life? What did you do with it? Jung believed that within that mess is the seed of your transformation. So here's a practical action. Next time you feel overwhelmed, don't run. Sit for 5 minutes, breathe, and ask, what is this teaching me? Write the first thing that comes to mind. It could be, I need to set boundaries, or I'm ready to let go of this fear. That small act tells your unconscious you're listening. Now let's talk about dreams because for Jung, they were the direct voice of the unconscious. I'm not just talking about the dreams you have when you sleep, but also those desires you hold in your heart. What did you dream of as a kid? Maybe you wanted to travel the world, write a novel, or just live without so much weight, but life filled you with shoulds. You should get married, you should have a stable job, you should please everyone, and those dreams got tucked away like old clothes in a closet. Think of Alejandra, 31, in Houston. Alejandra always wanted to be a photographer, but worked in an office because it was safe. Until one day, tired of feeling empty, she bought a camera and started capturing sunsets. Her photos went viral, and now she lives doing what she loves. Jung would say Alejandra listened to synchronicity. The universe gave her signs, that camera, those likes, because she dared to follow her dream. For men, there's Raul, 36, in Barranquilla. He dreamed of owning a motorcycle workshop but stayed in a call center out of fear of failing. One day a client said, "You sound like someone who knows mechanics." That woke him up. He started fixing bikes on weekends, and in a year he left the call center. His unconscious spoke through that conversation, and he answered. Pause again. What's that dream you've set aside? If you want, leave it in the comments with the word dream. I'd love to know what's calling you. And if this is inspiring you, share it with someone who needs a push to chase their own. Every share spreads this message further. So how do you make him surrender? Back to the title, it's not about winning a battle against someone. It's about surrendering to your authenticity. When you live from your truth, listening to your unconscious, integrating your shadow, following your dreams, the people and situations that don't fit fall away on their own. Not because you reject them, but because you stop needing them. Jung called it individuation, becoming who you really are, without masks. And when you do, the universe rewards you with synchronicities, with peace, with relationships that lift you up. Here's a final action. This week, do something small for yourself. Maybe say no to someone who asked too much, pick up a hobby you loved, or just sit in silence and listen to your intuition. That tells your unconscious, I'm here and my life matters. And you'll see how things start to change. Let's close this journey with a quick recap. Carl Jung taught us that the weak spot isn't outside, it's in what we don't face inside ourselves. Your shadow shows your fears, your projections reflect your struggles, and your unconscious guides you with signals and dreams. When you listen, when you choose authenticity over fear, chaos turns into order, and the relationships that weigh you down surrender on their own. Not because you beat them, but because you stop needing them. The secret isn't controlling the world. It's remembering who you are and living from there. Final pause. Breathe with me one more time. Imagine how your life would be if you gave yourself permission to be you, no excuses. What would you let go of? What would you gain? This is your moment, not tomorrow, not when everything's perfect. Now. Because as Jung said, there's no awakening without pain, but in that pain is your freedom. If this message touched your heart, leave a comment below. Tell me what you're taking from this, what you'll let go of, or what dream you'll chase. Your words don't just inspire me, they inspire everyone who reads them. And if you think someone needs to hear this, a friend stuck in a toxic relationship, a sibling doubting themselves, share it. Tell them this is for you. Subscribe if you haven't and hit the bell, because every week we bring more tools like these to transform your life. Life is yours to create. When you discover your weak spot and face it, not only does he surrender, the whole world opens up before you. Thanks for being here, for listening, for being part of this community. See you in the next video. Remember, the change starts with you and you have the power to make it real. I'll be waiting for you.